The nature of leadership is changing. Leadership used to be about authority and commanding respect, or even fear from subordinates. It was a person who pushed others to perform, that used the stick more than the carrot. But this is not the most effective style and just leads to burnout and low motivation. Therefore, what is a better style and how should we lead? There are many leadership theories, styles floating around from laissez-faire to coaching. You can take a myriad of tests to find out which one you are. There's also the situational leadership theory telling us to adjust our style depending on the competence and level of knowledge of our team. In fact, even the words we use have changed from staff to team to try and give a more human-centered feeling, to try and persuade employees that they are more valued and appreciated. But we need more than words. So what makes a good leader in the late 2020s? In my experience, it comes down to three principles: treating your team as human beings, recognizing they are the work rather than a means to an end, and giving them the respect they deserve. The quality that holds all three together is authenticity. When I was a manager for the first time, I leaned too heavily on what my boss wanted from me, implementing his style and opinions. I was not successful. I made the same mistake when I began my second and even third leadership roles. Then during COVID, everything changed. I was a remote leader. I did not have my boss breathing down my neck, telling me what to do with my team. I could finally do things as I saw fit. The first thing I did was treat my team as human beings. This means acknowledging that they will make mistakes, that they are not perfect and will not know what to do all of the time. It was also about knowing that they had come from a place where their boss reprimanded them and talked down to them when they made a mistake, or where it was better to hide your mistakes than ask for support. The second was treat them as gold. This means knowing is them who makes the company successful. They're the ones in touch with the clients. They make the business work. My role was really about helping them do their jobs to the best of their ability, because it's really them that mattered. This also differs from the theory that the clients are the center of concern. The third is treating them with the respect that they deserve. This means making clear that the company was lucky to have them working at 100% motivated and going above and beyond, and that they were free to leave if they were unhappy. This is especially important as I had little influence over the pay rate. I set up a suggestion box to collect my team's ideas, and my boss believed that all they would do is ask for a pay rise, as that was the primary motivating tool. I believed he was wrong. I thought he was proven right, even though I know that a fair compensation is needed and deserved. Another lesson I learned along the way was not just to give them instructions and then sit back and let them get on with it without checking in, as maybe they would get something wrong or get the wrong end of the stick or not know what to do and not feel able to ask for support, or that they may be so demoralized from their treatment and low wages thus far that they wouldn't put the care and attention into the task at hand. So laissez-faire doesn't work well at all. Changes take time to take effect. I went about creating an atmosphere where I was not their friend because boundaries are needed, but they knew I was on their side. And then it was fine to admit when they didn't know something or to ask for help with anything from technical problems to not having what they needed. This does not mean babysitting them or holding their hands so that they become dependent. When a problem arose, I'd ask them what they thought we should do. Then I'd either say, let's do it, or I told them the drawbacks. Obviously, I wouldn't let things go on forever if they didn't come up with a great solution immediately and if time was short. Sometimes I've had to step in with a solution, but making sure that they knew what it was and why. So the next time they would be able to make the right choice. I would also put myself in their shoes to make sure they had all the information that they needed immediately. I had been in their position, so I knew how frustrating it could be if they didn't have all the information that they needed. I knew their concerns and could preempt them and give them the data or calm their concerns. Another thing I do is let them know that I was not perfect and have made, can make, and will make mistakes. And this type of leadership is essentially about showing and owning vulnerability. It helps them own their mistakes and not be afraid to admit them. If mistakes are covered up badly, they will come back to haunt you in a worse fashion in the future. And this applies to other things other than mistakes. If a rule needs bending, but the employee doesn't feel that they will get the support of their leaders, they'll do it but cover it up. And this can lead to issues such as record inaccuracies that will come back to bite you. Lastly, and tied into everything else I've said, we should talk about communication explicitly. This is another key to successful leadership, whether it be written or spoken. Successful communication can be broken down to 55% body language, 38% tone of voice, and 7% for the words you use. In written communication, you only have that 7% at your disposal. You can't transfer body language into text, but we can gain that extra 38% if we concentrate on the tone, which will be conveyed through our words. So think carefully how you word things. Imagine that you're communicating with an intelligent but highly sensitive person. This doesn't mean becoming so indirect that your message gets washed away by diplomacy, but it means making sure it's respectful, considerate, clear, and concise. Say what you mean or what you want without beating around the bush or providing unnecessary details, but making sure it is complete at the same time. If you want them to do something that puts them out or asks them to do extra, don't forget the why, but make the why real. No false deadlines or false urgency or convoluted, invented reasons. Truth is underestimated. Authenticity is non-negotiable. So, an authentic leader. I think another one of my successes as a leader comes down to my authenticity. So, what does that mean? Beyond what you can search from the internet about an authentic leader, such as this definition, an authentic leader acts with high integrity, self-awareness, and transparency, aligning their actions with core values rather than personal gain or ego. They build trust through vulnerability, admitting mistakes, and fostering open relationships, which leads to higher employee engagement and performance. They are motivated by a sense of purpose and a desire to serve their team. And that comes from the Center for Creative Leadership. So for me, it means making sure you are constantly present. Your voice, your values, your humor, your style. You are not conforming to what you think a leadership should be. For example, charismatic if you're not naturally so, or serious if you're normally a light-hearted person. There should not be a leadership mask. You should be fully integrated into the persona you project, and this builds trust. An overly filtered, inauthentic mask does not build trust. When I resigned from my position, I received emails of condolences reacting to my resignation using words such as devastated. And I also received recommendations on LinkedIn saying things like attentive, available, and understanding. Her work has enabled me to do my job with confidence and ease, providing me with useful resources, help, and motivation whenever I needed them. I particularly valued her clear and concise communication and her ability to pinpoint problems and come up with simple, practical solutions. Or, I soon discovered her excellent people-oriented and empathic approach to managing a team of freelance trainers and coaches. I regularly sought out her sound advice. As a result, I grew professionally. I think the key words or phrases I take from the feedback are empathic, people oriented, enable me to do my job with confidence, understanding, clear and concise communication, sought out her advice, and grew professionally. Other feedback reflected on how my leadership style enabled them to provide the highest quality. It was a pleasure for me to work with my team and go above and beyond, because beyond knowing that I had their back, they had mine. They would go above and beyond for me and therefore for the company too. Being their leader helped me grow professionally and understand what an effective leadership should be. And that's through my mistakes as well. And believe me, I did make a few. I often miss that job despite a lot of the issues I faced in the role and within the company as a whole. That is what I now help other leaders find through my coaching. So, not a new management theory or another test to tell what type of leader you are, but the courage to lead as yourself. Everyone tells leaders to put their people first, and that's not quite what I'm saying. I'm saying that your people are the work, that they are what the company runs on. And when they feel safe, valued, and respected by someone who presents themselves as a human being rather than a management role, everything else falls into place. The quality, the effort, the loyalty, and the results. So ask yourself one question. Do the people on your team feel safe enough to admit a mistake, to ask for help, or to push back on a decision? If the answer is no, well, that's when to start.